So I decided to get away from it all, so I came to the moon, and here's my man cave. So for today's episode, on the man cave, we're going to learn how to build airlocks. Not just any old airlock though, a totally automated airlock. You might have already seen these used in my vlog, when I made an automated airlock system. So this is how you make it. You obviously have to have an interior area which is pressurized, has oxygen, so I have an oxygen tank there, generator, I have a vent for this room, and you have the area where you're going to have your airlocks. You have an outer door and an inner door. Well, this is my outer door. I have my air vent for the actual airlock itself, and I'm now going to place the inner door. So now we have effectively an airlock. If I close both these doors, it will now pressurize. There we go, we have an airlock, a very basic airlock. The problem is, if I want to go out this door now, all this air is going to rush out, usually pushes you out, and it's a waste of oxygen. I could click on that, tell it to depressurize, and then come out here and open this door. It's a lot of clicking around, takes a lot of time, and it's not particularly very cool. Let's make this better. First of all, we're going to use 8 timer blocks. Yes, you heard right, 8 timer blocks. It does seem like quite a few, but if you've got the space to hide them somewhere, it's well worth trying this. So let's place our 8 timer blocks first of all. Here we go, there's our 8 timer blocks, and we shall come back to those shortly. We will also need 3 button panels. You have one on the outside. So there's the one on the outside here. We will also need one on the inside, so I shall place that there. And if I press the right buttons, we will also need one here on the inside. Now basically what we're going to do is disable the doors themselves. So if it's closed, it's then disabled, so you can't come up to it, click it and open it, because if you did, you'd have the pressurization. So we're disabling the doors, so you have to use a button panel to open the door, in which case it then manages the airlock for you, which is great. So that's all the parts we need. So let's just run through it again. We've got 3 button panels, one on the outside, one on the inside, obviously one in the middle. We have the 2 doors, we have the air vent inside the airlock, and the air vent on the room is pressurized. We have the 8 timer blocks that we've placed outside in this case. Now it's important that we name these components correctly. Now I'm going to use A side and B side and interior. Now the A side is the pressurized side, where the oxygen is. The B side is outside there where there's no oxygen. I'm going to call interior, which is an INT, which will be the interior of the airlock itself as well. So we're going to name these blocks. Now unfortunately, Space Engineers decided that when we click on these control panels, it's not selecting the correct item, so we're going to be fighting against a little bit of clang here. We need to find the button panel. So if we go button panel here, let's see if that's the correct one. We'll turn it off and on. No, it's not going red. Off and on. Nope, it's this one. It's the last one we placed. So that's the one we're changing. Let's name this. We're going to call this the A side, because the A side is inside where the oxygen is. So that's button panel A, and we need to name the door also A. So let's find which door it is. On sliding door. I'd already actually named the outside one, so I'm cheating here, but this is obviously door A. So that's sliding door A. So we've got the A button panel and the A door named. We now need the interior button panel. So that is going to be not that one, but this one. There you go, it say went red then. So we're going to call this INT, so it's interior, so that's the button panels on the interior. We also have the air vent INT, which we've got above us. I've already named that one. That's interior as well. So we've got the 2 items here inside, they're interior items. And now we need to name the doors, which we've already named this door, which should be here, sliding door B. There you go. And now that leaves that button panel, which also needs to be named B. So we therefore have labelled the B side as B, the A side as A, and inside as int for interior. That's pretty much all the labelling done. What we should now do is set up the timer blocks, all 8 of them, for what they have to do. There's obviously 4 for coming one way, 4 coming the other way. So we have A to B and B to A. So we'll start off first of all with A to B. I shall access them via the panel. We shall go to timer block. Okay, we shall start naming them A to B 1 of 4. I shall cheat here as well and help name them by using Control C and Control V. Control C is copy if you don't know, and Control V is paste. It means I haven't got to type so much. So let's just name these quickly. Obviously name them subsequently so we know which one we're using. There we go, so we've got A to B, 4 of 4, 3 of 4, 2 of 4, 1 of 4. Okay, let's start off with these 4 first of all. I'm going to select those, set them as silent. One thing we will do very quickly is we need to group the button panels. And we shall call them buttons. You can name them what you want obviously, but we're grouping them because we're going to need them grouped. Okay, right, now let's go back to the timer blocks. Alright, start with A to B. Okay, so we're going from inside the base to outside the base. We go from a pressurized to an unpressurized. So for the first timer block, we'll pop the delay down to as low as you can. Not really matter because we're going to trigger this particular block. But we'll set up the actions. Now the first action we want to do is we want to close door B, which is the outside door. Because this, say for example, someone's already gone out, the outside door is going to be open. We need to close that door. So let's close door B. So closed. So we're not toggling it. We actually want to close it. We want to make sure it's closed. We then turn off all the button panels. The reason why we do this, we toggle block off. The reason why we do this is because if someone's hit the button to open the doors, we don't want someone coming outside from the other side and hitting a button and then messing up the whole sequence. So we disable all the buttons once someone's activated them, and we'll reactivate them at the end. The next thing we need to do is now start the timer for the next block. So we want A to B 2 of 4. There we go, A to B 2 of 4, and we're going to start. If you do trigger, it will start straight away. We don't want to do that. We want to use a bit of a delay, so we're going to put start. Okay, we're now going to timer block A to B 2 of 4. We're going to set the delay timer to 2 seconds. We're going to set up the actions. Now on this one, we need to turn off door B because we've now closed it. We now gave it 2 seconds to close. We're now going to turn it off so no one can open it. So we're now going to turn off, so toggle block off. We're then going to pressurize the vent. So we need to find the air vent interior, not the one in the actual main base, but the interior one that's in the actual airlock. So we need to pressurize. So we want to depressurize off. So it's actually going to pressurize the area. And then we want to start timer 3. So A to B 3 of 4. I want to start that one. Okay, so now let's go to block 3 of 4. This one here is going to have a 6-second delay. That's basically the time it's going to take to pressurize the airlock. So that's 6-second delay. And then what this is going to do is turn on door A. The reason why we're turning this on now is because the opposite side of this is coming from B to A, and it would have disabled the door. So we're going to make sure it's now turned on. So we're going to toggle the block on for door A. We're going to turn all the buttons back on so they can now be used again, and we're going to start timer block 4 of 4. So we're going to now start that one. Now let's go to timer block A to B 4 of 4. The delay on here is just going to be 1 second. It's just purely to allow the door to close and to be turned on. And the only action we're going to do here is open door A. So let's slide on door A, right click on there and open. And that is now the sequence for A to B complete. So that should be fine. We're now going to do the B to A side. It makes no odds where you go from really to program this in. I'm just going to stand this side so we can test it in a second. So we're now going to go timer blocks. We're going to name these. We're going to name these B2A. 1 of 4. Okay. and this one's going to be obviously 2 of 4, so we're going to name them again as we did before, but we're using B2A instead. Now this might seem a bit complex, it kind of is, but once you get your head around it, it's actually quite simple. It's just a lot of timer blocks, but personally I think it's well worth it. Okay, we're going to select all of those, we're going to make them all silent, and then we're going to go back to timer block B2A 1 of 4. So we're now going from outside to in. We're going to put the delay right the way down, set up actions, and the first action we're going to do is close door A. So we're going to close door A. We're going to turn off all button panels again, and then we're going to start timer 2 of 4. So we want B2A, not A to B, B2A 2 of 4, and we're going to start that one, not trigger, but we're going to start. Now we're going to set up timer block 2 of 4. The delay on this one needs to be 2 seconds. The actions, we're going to turn off door A. So we first closed door A, and we're now going to turn it off. So toggle block off. We're then going to depressurize, because we're going in. We need to go into a room that's depressurized. So the air vent internal of the airlock, we're now going to depressurize it on. So we're actually going to depressurize the vent, and then we need to now trigger the timer 3 of 4, B2A 3 of 4. We're going to start that. Okay, come right there. Now go to timer block 3 of 4. The delay on here again needs to be 6 seconds. It's the time it's going to take to depressurize the airlock of this size. Set up the actions. We're going to turn on door B. So toggle block on. We're going to turn on the button panels, and we're going to trigger B2A block 4 of 4 timer block. So we're going to start it, sorry, not trigger, start, so we can make use of its delay. And then we're going to go and set up the actions for B2A 4 of 4. This delay is going to be 1 second, and the actions are open door B. Okay, so now we've set up all the components of our airlock. Next thing to do is just to make sure that they're all owned by you. So set the ownership, set them all, set the ownership to yourself. Otherwise you'll have problems with the timer blocks not actually activating the items you put on there. As you may have seen, as I set on timer blocks, some of the items were greyed out. Simply just go through all the components and make sure that they're all set to ownership to you. When that's done, we now need to set up the button panels for what they need to do. So on the outside here we want one button that says open door. It'll start the sequence and open this door so we can walk in. So let's start this one here. This is button panel B, it's on the outside. Button 1, set up the action, and we're going from B to A. So we want to start off timer block B to A 1 of 4. We're going to do a trigger. I'm going to trigger that now. I'm also going to name the button. I like to say that open door, so I'll put the arrow and open door. So now if you come out, there's the button, it says open door, and that will start the sequence there. On the inside, I want 2 buttons. I want a button on number 1 and a button on number 4. Effectively, button number 1 is going to do the same as the button that's outside. It's going to open this door. Button number 4 is going to open that door, which will be the same as what's on the button panel out there as well. So let's set up these 2 actions on this panel. This is the button panel interior. Set up the action. So number 1 again is going to be B to A 1 of 4. So we're going to trigger that now. And we also want A to B 1 of 4, which I'm going to drag down to the 4th slot, and I'm going to trigger now. So we now have our 2 buttons. I'm going to put the name for button 1 again, open door with the arrow to the left, and for button 4 I'm going to put open door, but I want to put an arrow to the right. Obviously name this what you want. This is how I prefer to do it. So there's open door that way, open door that way, and then finally the button panel inside here, number 1 button, I want to make that button panel A, because on the A side. Set up actions, and this is going to be A to B 1 of 4, trigger now. Let's name that button open door again. So now we have open door this side. Okay, so on the inside we now need to set the doors in their initial state. So we're going to click this button once and you'll see the button panel disabled, the outside door closed and disabled. It's pressurizing in there, and now this door is open, the button panel's on. Okay, now the system is all set up. That initial run was just to get the doors in the right sequence. We're inside, we've got oxygen, you can see we're all green, walking in, that looks open, we can walk in, air in here, we come into the button panel, that door's red, we can't go out, obviously, because if we did we'll get thrown out, the air come out. That's the idea of this airlock. So to go out now, we just click on this button here, open door. Let's disable the button panel, let's close that door, let's turn it off. We're now depressurizing in here. You'll notice the bottom screen, it should say no air shortly. There you go, none. And that door's opened, all with one button press. And now we can walk out perfectly fine. So coming in again, that other way, the door's already open, but if it wasn't, you would press this button. Come in, click this button here, let's close that door, disabled it. You notice both doors are locked, so whilst the pressurization's happening, there you go, and it's now opened. And that's your really cool automated airlock. The only downside about it is you need 8 timer blocks, but really if you can hide them somewhere, it's well worth doing. And obviously you can set these up wherever you like. Yes, you do need 8 timer blocks for each airlock, but you can put more than one door on each side. So if you wanted to have like a 3-way airlock where 2 of them were in a pressurized area, you just simply group them to A side doors and activate them. It's quite simple to do. There have been instances where I've put these on a ship, and obviously once the ships come into an atmospheric area, there's oxygen on both sides. There's workarounds so you don't have to worry about pressurization, but I can come to that on a more advanced video. But for now, this has been the man cave and the really cool auto airlock feature. Make sure you subscribe if you like the video, if you've liked it, if it's been helpful. I shall be uploading this demo onto the workshop, and I shall link that in the video along with some notes. And we shall come back to the man cave shortly for some more goodies and developing this man cave. So until then, take care and catch you soon.